The slow simmering cross-border conflict between Lebanon's Hezbollah and the Israeli forces is slowly reviving fears that the daily clashes could actually expand potentially into an all-out war. But the question is, how is Hezbollah continuing to expand its arsenal? Our next report tells us to how Iran appears to be covertly shipping weapons to Hezbollah.
Hezbollah has robustly expanded the quantity and the quality of its arsenal. Since October 7th, the militant group has been trading fire with Israel on a daily basis. On 5th of March, Hezbollah fired more than 100 rockets at Israeli targets, one of its biggest barrages in more than 5 months of hostilities waged in parallel to the Gaza war. Israel has been launching airstrikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Now it emerges that Iran has been using European ports to provide cover for shipments of weapons to Hezbollah. Telegraph reports that the Lebanese militant group has received missiles and bombs on ships that go on to dock in ports. In Belgium, Spain and Italy, the vessels first go on to ports in Antwerp, Valencia and Ravenna. Then they reach the Syrian port of Latakia, from where they are further transported south to Lebanon. According to the latest public estimates, Hezbollah has around 150,000 rockets and missiles, most with a range of a few dozen kilometers, alongside immense artillery arsenal. The group has a large stock of anti-aircraft missiles, including shoulder-fired ones to down helicopters and low-altitude aircraft, and also anti-ship missiles. Hezbollah, one of the most heavily armed non-state groups in the world, is the most formidable of Iran's allies in its axis of resistance, which includes Palestinian rebel group Hamas, Iraqi militias and others. Till now, Hezbollah has maintained support and spirit to its ally, but with the cross-border hostilities increasing rapidly, the possibility of a full Israeli offensive to its north in Lebanon cannot be ruled out. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is happening in this conflict, we're being joined by Mr. Adrian Calamil, who's joining us live from New York. He is a fellow at an Arabian Peninsula Institute and also a terrorism and Middle Eastern scholar. He's joining us live on this broadcast. Now, Mr. Calamil, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on WION. Now, this is a question that a lot of people have been asking ever since the conflict in Gaza broke out. You know, the low-intensity conflict that we've witnessed at the border between Hezbollah, that is in Lebanon, and Israel, has now dragged on for over 5 months now. There are reports that Iran is, in fact, managing to smuggle through more weapons into Lebanon to give provided to Hezbollah. Do you expect the border between Lebanon and Israel to flare up in the coming days?
Absolutely. I think we're past that point. Everybody has been talking about the Lebanese border heating up. It's already hot. So you have Hezbollah launching rockets into Israel, and then you have also Israel prepping a battlefield, hitting targets in southern Lebanon, and then hitting targets farther to the north in Bekaa Valley and areas that are heavily controlled by Hezbollah.
But also these reports that clearly point out the manner in which Iran appears to be arming the Hezbollah. I'm pretty sure the United States and Israel will be watching this with a lot of concern. Why is it that the United States and the Israelis have not been able to block, the shipment of these weapons into the hands of the Hezbollah?
Absolutely. So the way that the Islamic Republic will move weapons to groups such as Hezbollah, the Houthis, they're going to use land, sea, and air routes. During the Syrian civil war, what we saw them was using a land route across Syria. During this conflict and what's played out since October 7th, what we have seen is increased activity from the Israelis hitting targets inside Syria that are transporting weapons from the Islamic Republic to across Syria and to Hezbollah. During the Syrian civil war, we saw over 200 Israeli airstrikes that we know of that are hitting. What is a major concern are precision-guided missiles. So that is one of the major concerns, are the precision-guided missiles. Now, with these strikes taking place in Syria, we have the Islamic Republic shifting to the sea routes. And generally, the sea routes, you can't move, I would say, as large equipment, missiles, those type of materials, because it's done surreptitiously through smaller boats, vessels, etc. But when you start using commercial shipping vessels to move weapons, then you have to have a real concern about what's being moved, what type of parts are being moved. Now, why is it not being interdicted? All that shipment goes up the Red Sea. That's the big question. Why is that not being taken care of? That falls squarely on the Americans, who have, well, the Americans are coordinating this coalition that's in the Red Sea.
Right.
And they need to take action.
Absolutely, indeed. That's, of course, something that we look out for. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Calamel, for joining us and getting us that perspective there.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.